Hi, this is Mashnu, and the over-the-board chess season has started here in Holland. So I played my first game last Wednesday at the club, and I will show you that game. I was playing white here, and the time control was 1 hour and 30 minutes for each player for the first 35 moves, and after that, if the game has not ended, we get an additional time of 15 minutes for each player to end the game. I was playing white. I played d4, and after knight f6, c4, e6, knight to c3, bishop to b4, we have the Nimzo Indian defense. And here I played my favorite variation, f3, this so-called Gmoch variation. My opponent replied d5. That's a very healthy move by trying to have more control over the center and preventing the move e4 from my side. And here the most played move here is a3, but I didn't do that. I played e3 here. After a3, normally bishop takes c3, b takes c3, and then c5 is played, and there is equality. I played in the game e3. After castling, then I played a3, bishop takes e3, bishop takes e3, now rook to e8. So what black wants to do, he wants to open the center. He wants to play e6 to e5 so this bishop can be developed, and also the center can be opened. Another idea to play here is to play c5. That's the most popular move in this position. But after rook to e8, I played bishop to d3, and then e5. And here I thought for quite a long time, actually, because I was calculating the consequences of c takes d5 and of d takes e5 and of knight to e2, and I chose to play knight to e2. Actually, c takes d5 would have been a good move as well. After e takes d4, c takes d4, knight takes d5 and e4, the position is equal. But let's go back to the game, because I didn't do this. I played knight to e2, so I had to calculate the consequences of this pawn advancing to e4 eventually, and I thought that this pawn advancing after trading, the pawn could become weak later, and that's what happened in the game. He played e4, f takes e4, d takes e4, bishop to c2. So here, if you look at the position, actually my bishops are very they don't have much space, and after if I can manage to attack this pawn like this and move my bishop here, my queen here, then I will be attacking this pawn on e4. So actually my plan was to attack that pawn, and I thought if that pawn falls, then I can liberate myself by advancing my pawn from e3 to e4, and then having this other bishop easily developed. And also after castling, you can play the rook from f1 to f4 to attack it once more. So those were my possibilities. My opponent played c5 here. Of course I didn't take on c5. I don't want to have a triple pawn there. Knight to g3, and here he played the move b6. And after the game, when we analyzed it together, I think that bishop to g4 would have been better, because then I have to go with my queen to d2, and actually I'm not able to play queen to b1 attacking this pawn over there. So, and the queen is not very well placed on d2. Another idea that we looked at was knight to g4, and actually after knight takes e4, queen to h4 check, white has g3, and the attack of black is not that strong. So it looks, at first sight, knight to g4 looks like oops, sorry. looks like a strong move, active move to start an attack, but in fact black doesn't have enough pieces to start an attack to the white king. So well, b6 was played. The idea behind b6 is to play this bishop to a6 and attack the white weakness on c4. That's something that's seen very much in the Nimzo Indian defense, in this variation where white has this double pawn here. Many times also the knight from b8 goes to c6 to a5 to attack also c4 if c4 is defended by white, but in this case attacking with the bishop is actually enough. I continue with castling, bishop to a6, now rook to f4. All my pieces directed towards this weakness on e4. Bishop takes c4, knight takes e4, and here black played knight to d5. The other option was to take on e4, knight takes e4, but after bishop takes e4, bishop to c5, bishop to c2, it looks good for white. White can advance this pawn to e4. He has the open f file as well, so this is pleasant for white. So my opponent played knight to d5, attacking the rook and attacking the pawn on c3, but it's still defended by this knight on e4. So here after rook to f3, my opponent made a mistake, a calculation mistake. He played rook takes e4, sacrificing the exchange, and his idea was that after bishop takes e4, knight takes e3, he would be attacking bishop and queen. So if I would play queen to c2, he would take on e4, then after retaking he would have bishop to c5 to d5, I'm sorry, regaining the exchange, and after this then knight to d7, black has won a pawn. So that looked quite promising for black, but he made a little mistake in the calculation, because after bishop takes e4, knight takes c3, I had bishop takes h7 check, and that's a move that he didn't see in his calculation before he played rook takes e4. So after king takes h7, queen c2 check, king g8, queen takes e3, bishop to d5, rook g3, now concentrating on g7 with the idea of attacking with the queen and later also with the bishop, all directed to g7. Now I'll go back just a few moves now, because one other option is that here after bishop takes h7, king to f8 is not enough actually. The idea is that if rook to c2, then we have knight to e2 check, and after king to h1, knight takes c1, but here white takes not the knight but the bishop on c4, and this knight has no way to be saved, so that was not an option. So let's go to the game. Queen c2, take on c3, bishop d5, queen g3, and now here my opponent played queen to f6, placing the queen on the same diagonal here and defending g7. After bishop to b2, things become really bad for black here. There are too many threats actually. Rook to f1, and later taking here and opening this diagonal towards g7. It's impossible to hold it already. c4 was played with the idea of closing this, so I wouldn't be able to advance my d-pawn. But after rook to f1, queen to c6, I played e4, and here my opponent resigns because he's losing material. If the bishop takes on e4, then I play d5, attacking queen and threatening checkmate on g7. And if the bishop goes to e6, same thing, I play d5. So here my opponent resigned, and we had a drink and we analyzed the game. So that was the first game of this season, and I hope to come back with more videos of these slower games, because it's really something that I have to set my mind again to, because after playing so much Blitz on the internet, 5 minutes games, we really need to get used to think for a longer time when we play over the board chess, and calculate well, don't rush taking decisions, but trying to play as good as possible. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this game, and I'll see you next time on YouTube. Goodbye.